Playing an amputee. In actual life, Gary Sinise, who portrayed arrogant Lieutenant Dan Taylor, is not an amputee. In the film, though, his character is wounded in the Vietnam War and loses both legs. Prior to the incident, he's depicted as an able-bodied officer, and after the injury, he's seen in a wheelchair as a double amputee. In the editing room, special effects, computer aids, and props were employed to virtually eliminate Sinise's legs. Sinise also wore blue cloth on his legs to make it easier to remove them digitally. When Sinise first saw the finished product, the effects surprised him. He had this to say about director Robert Zemeckis and special effects supervisor Ken Ralston. They were always figuring it out, making sure we were shooting it correctly so we could figure out the effect later. I thought afterwards, those were truly wonderful, faultless effects. Summarize, the impacts make it difficult to believe Sinise isn't an amputee. A long day. Robin, as Jenny, was feeling really bad during the scene in which she performed at a nightclub. She pushed herself through the sequence, which took nearly 24 hours to shoot. On the bright side, she was allowed to sing her original tune. On the negative side, she was nude and carried a guitar for hours. The end result? A heartbreaking moment demonstrating how Jenny's career didn't go as planned. Gump walks forward to show the brutes in the crowd who's boss. Jenny feels very embarrassed by the whole situation. Running with a cold. It's sometimes necessary to call in sick, but not Tom Hanks. The actor was sick with the flu when he filmed the football running sequence, but he refused bed rest. We're sure he tried, but due to schedule conflicts, Tom Hanks was unable to participate. Nonetheless, he shot this legendary moment like the expert he is. It's a shame his sibling wasn't available for this photo. Jim couldn't assist him this time since it was too much of a full-on sort of shot. Let's give it to Tom. He performed an excellent job. Picture perfect. The scene in which Forrest waited outside the principal's office, waiting for his mother, was inspired by Norman Rockwell's picture, Girl with a Black Eye, also known as The Shiner. The picture was featured on the cover of the Saturday Evening Post on May 23, 1953. It was Rockwell's 277th overall painting to appear on the cover of the Saturday Evening Post out of 322 total. Rockwell described model Mary Whalen as the best model I've ever seen. She ended up on 3 different Saturday Evening Post covers. The bench that got benched. That Forrest Gump seat is perhaps as famous as the whole film. While it's just a bench, it perfectly represents the character, so you can understand how crucial it was to get the correct one. In actuality, the creators just bought it. As you can expect, the prop has attracted a lot of attention since then. People were willing to pay a lot of money for it, which is why the bench Tom Hanks sat on with his box of chocolates sold at an auction in 2013 for a stunning $25,000. The creators attempted to preserve the set as authentically as possible. The town square sequences were shot in Savannah, Georgia. Gump sat on a seat in Chippewa Square in Savannah, Georgia, and various scenes. Character differences. Literature and films have undergone several significant changes. In the film, Forrest is portrayed as ignorant, impetuous, and submissive. This is shown in the chocolate scenario. However, Gump's character in the novel is not like this. Groom's Gump is more conscious of his surroundings, stating at the beginning of the book that others treat him poorly because he's an idiot. Groom's Gump is also significantly larger than Tom Hanks, standing at 6'6" and weighing 240 pounds. Other events omitted from the film include Forrest becoming an astronaut, campaigning for the United States Senate, and competing in a chess competition. The Doors. The music of the band The Doors was utilized often in the film, with 6 of its songs being played throughout. Director Rob Zemeckis was a major admirer of the band and thought their music fit the tone well since it portrayed the wild spirit of the time. We couldn't fathom the film without their music, and he was totally correct. Jim Morrison, the band's singer, founded the American rock band in Los Angeles in 1965. Despite the fact that their career ended over 45 years ago, they're still well known and have sold over 100 million records worldwide. Family bus ride. Elizabeth Hanks, Tom Hanks' daughter, and Zemeckis' son Alexander both appeared in the film. They were among the kids on the bus that mocked Gump. Elizabeth, often known as E.A. Hanks, has subsequently gone on to write. She worked for Vanity Fair and Huffington Post as an associate editor. She has also written for VanityFair.com, The Guardian, Time.com, The New York Times, and other major U.S. publications. That isn't the only one of Hanks' children who's worked in show business. Colin Hanks is another well-known actor who's been in a number of films. The sequel. Following the popularity of Forrest Gump, Winston Groom decided to create a sequel. Gump and Company was the title of the sequel. The sequel's text features numerous syntax and spelling mistakes on purpose to remind the reader of Forrest's lack of education and cognitive ability. Larry King referred to the work as the funniest novel I've ever read. In 2001, Eric Roth penned the script for the sequel. Will there be a film sequel? It's been more than 25 years since the first one, so it doesn't seem probable. But who knows? Perhaps a new generation will soon encounter the Gump. Jenny's last name. Despite having a last name, Jenny never had it mentioned in the movie. You can surely catch it if you pay great attention, and the name is Curran. Despite the fact that it's never stated in the film, it can be seen on the back of the envelope that Forrest addressed to her when he was in Vietnam. It was also inscribed on her mailbox when she was a youngster. Finally, his name will be inscribed on the letters that are delivered to him in the hospital. She may not have used her full name as much as Gump, but she does have one. Historical Precision Clause. Hanks agreed to appear in the film if historical events were shown as accurately as possible. The film depicts a chaotic time in American history and incorporates numerous real-life incidents from the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. The Vietnam Rally, the ping pong scene, the Black Panther Party, the Watergate scandal, and several more events. Many renowned people, including Elvis Presley and President John F. Kennedy, made visits. This makes sense since Hanks is a well-known history geek, which is why he has repeatedly partnered with another history nerd, filmmaker Steven Spielberg, on multiple large-scale World War II movies, Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers. Emotional scenes. The film's a tearjerker, and Tom Hanks supposedly gets emotional a lot when portraying Forrest. The actor even confessed to sobbing during the moment in which Lieutenant Dan first reveals Forrest to his wife with his titanium legs. It's difficult to blame the person. The film is an epic journey through almost every human emotion. Even producer Wendy Feinerman mentioned it. "I don't want to sound like a bad version of The Child Within," she remarked in an interview, "but Forrest Gump's youthful innocence is what we all once had. It's an emotional ride. You both laugh and weep. It does what movies are meant to accomplish. It makes you feel alive." An Oscar-worthy performance. Tom Hanks earned an Academy Award for his role in Forrest Gump in 1994. In addition to Best Picture, Best Director, Best Visual Effects, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Film Editing, Forrest Gump won 5 more Academy Awards. The film was also nominated for 7 Golden Globe Awards, 3 of which it won, including Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, Best Director in a Motion Picture, and Best Motion Picture Drama. Other accolades were also bestowed on the film. A successful flop. Despite its final profit of $678 million, the film was not financially successful in its first year. Despite such a lucrative income, the film was labeled as a successful failure. This was partly due to the hefty salaries of both the director and the lead actor, as well as the distribution costs, which were eventually devastating. As a consequence, Paramount Pictures suffered a $62 million loss, and it had a budget of $55 million. Some argue that distribution fees were way too greedy, pocketing considerably more than was required. With a film this amazing, everyone wants a piece of the action. Mykelti Williamson gets typecast. Mykelti Williamson was fortunate to get cast as Bubba in the film, but he afterwards struggled to be hired in other films because of the sort of role he portrayed in Forrest Gump. Evidently, nobody in the entertainment industry was aware that Williamson's use of a prosthetic lip device during shooting was the cause of Bubba's abnormal lip. As a result, despite having been in over 10 episodes before the film, Williamson was not acknowledged for his earlier roles. He was ultimately cast in films such as Heat and Con Air, but it wasn't easy. Dave Chappelle. On The Daily Show, Dave Chappelle claimed that he didn't like the movie because Forrest Gump, a character with a low IQ, was a better actor than him. Don't let Chappelle's humor fool you. The famed comedian has a mind-boggling IQ of 185. On the program with Stewart, Chappelle voiced more unfavorable views about the film, claiming that it irritated him to see a guy with a mental impairment succeed in life when able-bodied people struggled so much. Fortunately, he didn't appear in it. Connor chooses his career. Michael Connor Humphrey's sole film was Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump finally joined the Army and stopped acting. He was nominated for a Young Artist Award for his performance in the film. In 1993, he won the part after attending an open casting call in Memphis, Tennessee. The producers went in with no idea what they were searching for. All they knew was that they had to see a young Tom Hanks with his bright eyes and odd demeanor. They certainly found it in Humphreys. Authentic jewelry. Lieutenant Dan's necklace in the film was stolen from Gary Sinise's brother-in-law, Jack Treese, who wore it in Vietnam in 1967 to 1968. The words "Protect us in combat" are engraved on the necklace. Sinise has made several efforts to assist veterans throughout the years. To help these heroic guys, the actor established his own nonprofit, the Gary Sinise Foundation. Every year, $30 million is collected for veterans via his charity, the Gary Sinise Foundation. The organization also includes a housing initiative in which they've created 54 smart houses for the severely injured, with another 16 under construction. He was even made an honorary Marine at Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. in 2013. Minor mistake. Forrest Gump is seen as the perfect film, which is likely why it gained such critical praise and received so many prizes. Nonetheless, it had flaws. A little blunder hampered the timing. Gump stated that he ran for 3 years and 2 months when he first started jogging. He only ran for a year and a half. This is computed by combining 2 occurrences that occurred at the start and finish of Gump's run. He started on October 1st, 1979, when President Jimmy Carter fell from heat exhaustion, and ended with Ronald Reagan's assassination attempt. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon